Hello everyone and welcome to my measuring tutorial, or step number 1, which is our first tutorial in this series for doing a guest bathroom. We're going to be doing the first step here, which is basically step 1, measuring. I probably should have done this before. Okay, sorry. Step 1, measure. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is basically try to figure out what type or what size cabinets we're going to need to do, and basically how to figure it out. Now, one thing I did want to throw in here is how to figure it out if you have a toilet sitting here, and it's pretty simple. Okay, what we're going to do is figure out the center line of your toilet. To start off with, it looks like right about there. It doesn't need to be exact, just get it close. Center line of your toilet needs to be, you can draw a line out here. Now, obviously, going back again, you don't have to do it with a computer program like I'm doing here. I'm just doing this because it's a lot cleaner. You can always follow along with graph paper. It's actually a lot easier to do it with graph paper because you're able to erase and go back and forth. If you're a contractor making this up for a customer, you might want to use a computer program which just looks more professional, or you can do it by hand. I mean, really, just as long as you have something to show them, what you're doing. So, all right. So getting started here, we've drawn our center line. That's pretty easy. Now, take basically go off of your center line, and I want you to take a measurement. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. So, take a measurement from basically here. So basically from sheetrock on the left side of the wall, all the way over to the center line. Now I'm coming up with 77 inches. I'm going to draw a line here, 77 inches out. There we go. Alright, so that's 77 inches from point to point. Alright. Next thing you want to do is basically draw, we want to keep our cabinets at least 16 inches away from the center line of the toilet. So I'm going to draw another line here at 16. Real easy. Now, basically, the easiest way to do this is basically just take 77 minus 16, and that's pretty simple. That's just 61. So basically, go from here to here, 61 inches. That's how much cabinets you're going to need. So I'm gonna put a rectangle around that. There you go. You can have 61 inches of cabinets. That includes your fillers and end panels and any other stuff you want to throw in there. So pretty simple there. Okay, so we've done that. So basically, from the center line of your, to kind of recap here, center line of the toilet. Go 16 inches out from the center line, and that's how much cabinets you're going to have. It's that easy. Alright, now next thing I want to talk about is our standards. Now we're getting started here. We're going to be putting cabinets on this wall. Here's a little perspective view for you. Oh, I already have the countertop and stuff drawn in there, which I will get rid of. So basically, you're going to have cabinets kind of going in here. Real simple, you're doing wall to finished in, so we'll get into that here in just a minute. But let's talk about some more standards we're going to use for guest bathrooms. And guest bathroom standards are pretty easy. Okay, so standards. Let's see if I can write this. Sorry. Alright, so base cabinets. Actually, let's talk about this. Let's just go with depth. Everybody's always asking, what depth should I use for my guest bathroom cabinets? And depth's going to be 22 inches. So don't go 24. You're going to be tempted to go with a standard depth cabinet. But a lot of contractors will actually lay the walls out according to kind of historical standards that everybody's used. So if you're remodeling your existing home, most likely this wall is only going to go out to 24 to 27 inches from the back here to the front. So use your cabinet standard of 22 inches. That gives enough room for the countertop to die off into the wall, and many other things that I don't really want to get into on the tutorial here, but it's a good reason why most cabinet depths are 22 inches deep, unless you run into another issue. Alright, so depth is 22 inches. Height. Height's going to be a little different. Now, our standard base cabinet height is 34.5. Okay. Historically speaking, between like the 1970s and now, people use a 32-inch tall height for the cabinets, and that's just the cabinet. It does not include your countertops, so let's not overcomplicate this. We're just talking about cabinets right here. So 32 inches. But in the last 5-10 years or so, people have been actually going up to doing standard base height cabinets, and that's because a lot of the times when they built them at 32 inches, they were doing that for kids, so that they could get up there, get a stool up to the cabinet, and kind of moving on. So. But nowadays, obviously, kids get older, they get taller. They're not going to be, 2 feet tall for forever. So a lot of them are building them at 34.5. That way they can use them, as a more usable vanity height. So that's pretty much it. That's our standards we're going to be doing for guest bath. So what we got, what we've achieved here, kind of a conclusion to our little measuring tutorial. We basically took the center line from the wall to the center line of the toilet. We came up with a cabinet width of 61 inches. We also looked at our standards. We said, look, our depth is going to be 22 inches. That's from the back wall to the front of the cabinet. That only includes the cabinet. It does not include the doors or anything like that. So just 22-inch cabinet depth. Height of the cabinets is between, from the floor to the top of the cabinet. It's always going to be between 32 inches and 34.5. More and more people are starting to go toward 34.5. Do not be ashamed if you do a 32 inches, 32-inch vanity height. You can even put it somewhere in the middle. There's really no set standard. That's why I'm kind of leaving this one up in the air. You decide yourself. If you're a taller person, I personally would probably go with 34.5. I'm 6'4", and that's just what I recommend. So, all right, I think that's pretty much it for a measuring tutorial. Let's move on to step number 2.